Hello and welcome to episode 42 of Crucible Bootcamp. I'm your host, Keen Koala, and today we're going to be talking about a Rumble match on Rusted Lands. This is another Voidwalker match, and specifically we want to talk about our three topics tonight are going to be how to break poor reload habits, more weapon commitment, and picking the right engagements, or learning how to pick the right engagements for you. Well, it's gonna differ based on your loadout and your decision making and things like that. But that's what we're gonna cover tonight. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So we spawned on the center of the map, so ideally on Rusted Lands we want to be pushing to one side or over the other. We don't really want to stay in the middle of the map. We talked about last episode about isolating yourself, and staying in the middle of the map is one of the worst ways to do that. So again, we're skirting the edges, looking for those spawns, and trying to get good challenges off. Unfortunately, we just get our kill taken away from us, and we're going to try to disengage. Now, the first piece of critique that I want to talk about is obsessively reloading your gun. Now, this is an issue that I think a lot of players have, and myself have come against this as well. But every time you shoot your gun, right, you have less and less in the mag. It's really important to understand or to keep track of how many bullets you have left in your gun. Some people call it counting bullets. Some people just have a feel for how much they have. Some people just physically check down in the corner whether or not they have bullets in the mag at all. Any one of those is okay, but what you don't want to do is every time you fire a bullet and you instantly get out of an engagement, you just want to immediately reload, because you don't know the next time that you need to get into an engagement. You don't know where the people are, on this map. They're obviously within the primary challenge range because they are showing up on radar. So it's really important that we don't just constantly reload whenever we think we're safe, but instead just keeping track of what bullets we have and how we can combine the bullets remaining in our mag with our abilities or with how we can play, right? If we only have 2 shots left in the mag, that you can't really kill anyone with that, right? Unless you have luck in the chamber and it hasn't procced yet on this archetype of hand cannon. But if we have 2 in the mag, that means we can get 2 body shots in a melee. That means we can get a headshot and a grenade on most grenades. And if we have those up, then we can use that to our advantage. But if we don't have those up, that's an indicator that you need to either switch to your secondary or just completely avoid that engagement altogether. And by avoiding the engagement, you're going to focus on moving back into cover and basically hiding, giving yourself enough time to reload your gun. That is the time that you want to reload. After you've exhausted all options and you don't have any great way to challenge someone one-on-one, especially in Rumble, that's when you want to reload your gun. You don't want to just reload your gun because you used 1 shot. So here is another issue that our hero, Mr. Maxwell House, has with his engagements. He didn't completely commit to his engagement. You saw he dropped back into cover, and dropping back into cover with a hand cannon is okay, right? We talked about this on an earlier episode where different weapons have different commitment times, and you can abuse that. But it's really important when you do dip back into cover that when you pull back out in order to re-engage, you need to be even more careful about lining up that shot when you come out. Or you need to take the shot and, like he does, immediately go back into cover. Now this is okay for his one-on-one, but unfortunately in Rumble, because we're back in that center map, people are starting to spawn around us, and we just get picked off. So knowing where you are on the map is crucial to how you need to play out every single engagement. If you're on the center of the map, you need to commit to killing someone as fast as possible so you can go and hide and not get crossfired right after that. If we're on the edge of the map, we can take more time in order to win the 1v1 a little bit safer, and then just skirt around that edge of the map to continue to be isolated. So here he's trying to search for targets, but as he's moving away, he's not really reading radar, right? If radar shows that it's a little grayed out, that means they're either above you or below you. Now on our position in Rusted Lands, no one is going to be below us in this position. They're always going to be, or no one is going to be above us. They're always going to be below us. And you see that we have a shotgun at our in our hands, and when they're in this pie slice here, that means they're within 8 to 23 meters. Now the sweet spot for slide shotgunning is about 15 meters, because you slide in, you get to about 10, maybe you move a little bit closer and you can get one shot, or you can follow up melee. Knowing that, it's pretty easy if someone is right there to just pull out our shotgun and just push into them, especially in Rumble. But because we didn't have great radar awareness, we tried running away. And again, we're in the center of the map, right? We're not around the edges. We're in the middle. We're on A point. We're on Water Tower. We're going to be on B Rubble later on. We're not on the edge of the map. So we don't have a great opportunity to escape, because our escape route is always going to pull us into more people. So what you don't want to do is run away into more people, because you're just going to end up getting picked off like this. You need to turn and challenge. It's really important that if you want to win Rumble, or you want to get better at a 1v1, that you participate in more 1v1s. Disengaging is okay in team battles, where you can disengage to your team. You can run away to, basically fight another day. In Rumble, when you run away, you just run into someone else who's trying to do the same thing. Find a 1v1 and win it. So you're actively playing a sheep role instead of a wolf role. You're no longer hunting, you're the hunted. Running away means you're always going to be hunted, right? If you're not defending yourself, then you're not a threat to anyone at any point. So in Rumble, and in the game in general, you want to make yourself a threat. You don't want to be the food or the feast. You want to be the feaster. So just trying to push around. This is okay. Again, now we're skirting the edge of the map. We're pushing towards the spawns. We don't have great shots here. We get one shot, and this guy's just hopping in and out of cover. Now, as soon as I see that guy throw that grenade, and I only got one shot off on him, and he pulls back into cover like that, right? This is engagement that I will not finish ever. I won't even try to get more shots off. Here, as soon as I see that he's just going to pull into cover and not completely commit to me, I have two options. The first is eat the grenade and try to trade with him. And the second is run away. But because, again, we found ourselves in the center of the map, running away still isn't a great option. So instead we take the middle ground, where we wait for him to make a mistake. He doesn't make a mistake. We try running away and end up, like I said, running into someone else. And then we just give him the kill anyway. So that's really poor positioning on our part by engaging in that position. Here we get a nice engagement. Missed a couple shots, but that's okay. Same thing here. Unfortunately, our target voops us from quite a ways away. But if you're playing against people with fusion rifles, and you know they're using a fusion rifle, and you can always hear the charge. Charge is never silent. If you hear that charge, just dip back into cover, because the time it takes for them to recharge, you can reposition, you can get first shot off, you can find a better angle on them, you can find a better location where if they do end up bursting you, not all the bolts hit you. You want to the key to beating fusion rifles, always disrupt the charge. Now here again, we're very scared to push into anyone with our shotgun. The best place to push into people with shotguns is when you can't see them, they're close on radar, and you're right around a corner or a choke point. Sometimes you can get baited, right? Sometimes people will push up to that point, or they'll be backpedaling as soon as they see you come on radar, because they're going to be playing more passive. But if that happens, just make sure that you don't slide all the way through the door, or when you get to the door, if you see that they're still too far away, right? They're not in that big flashing red circle. You just want to back out. You don't have to commit to every single engagement you get in. But you do need to be aware of what your options are if the engagement doesn't happen. Oh, I'm going to pause this real quick. Seem to be having technical difficulties with my webcam. So bear with me for just 1 minute while I turn it back on. Man, oh man. Well, I guess I'll have to deal with it later. Oh well. Back to it. So pushing in like this into A is pretty difficult to get into a shotgun battle. This would be an option where I would choose to peek it from below. And we're trying to basically escape from the person behind us. Your options here are very limited, right? You normally want to pull behind and attack the person that's running up behind you over trying to push up onto top of a hill. And here, we even start reloading our gun, right? Even though we know we're pushing into someone, this is one of those issues I talked about earlier with habitual reloading. We could have challenged that person. We could have potentially killed them if they missed a couple shots. But because we're just constantly reloading at really random times, you know, we're just giving up free points. Again, we're just being sheep at this point. We're just being hunted for free meat. So here, this is a good engage from cover, but we just abandon our situation. Mainly that's because you know, we're hearing a blade come into us. So waiting for Nova right there, you know, we basically get it right at the very last second. But we could have also engaged that person. We could have threw a grape. We could have shotgun melee'd them. We didn't need to super here. We had other options. Nova's still good though. Pushing through suicide, again, we're trying to get to that point of isolation. We're in the center of a lane, so we need to push to one side or the other. And here is a good example of the times that you want to pull out your shotgun. Again, you are well within your range to quickly get into that one hit area, right? And you can push up onto this spot very easily. Now, instead of sliding into this player, which is what I would normally have done, especially knowing that this Titan that just killed you with a fusion rifle doesn't have a shotgun, he has a fusion. You have time to push into this player. Or even potentially just throw your grape, right? A lot of these grapes are being held on to for whatever reason. And here, we're reloading with one bullet missing in our gun. A single one. You have no reason to reload there. 0. If you get in 2 engagements, you have enough bullets if you get all body shots on all 4 of those shots to kill that player. That's a good reload right there, right? We're safe, there's no one around us. That's a fine reload. But do not reload your gun when you're only missing 1 bullet. There's 0 reason for you to do that. Even if you had luck in the chamber, there's still no reason for you to do that. So finally, we have a really good shotgun engagement here because they just pull into range. We could be doing this the entire time, right? We don't necessarily have to push into players if we don't want to with a shotgun. We can let them push into us and punish them for it. But now that we have heavy, we're going to basically just control this zone, which is what ideally we should be doing on this map. Rusted Lands is a map where you really want to control a zone and just patrol it. You don't have the luxury of moving all the way around the edge of the map because of how easy it is to get crossfired. A lot of people like running scouts and pulses on this map because of the long sight lines. So trying to skirt the edge around the entire map can be problematic. Now, I know we have heavy and I know this is a decent engagement, but it still would have been better in this engagement to actually just use your shotgun. Because if this guy had pushed up at us instead of around us with a shotgun, we would have been dead right here. Again, no reason to reload our gun with someone right there. That is the kind of slide shotgun play you need to make, right? You let him push into you, you know he has a fusion, and you just punish him for pushing it all. This is the danger of pushing into players in Rumble with shotguns, is you do all the work for them. Again, doesn't hold on to the Nova. As soon as he gets it, just burns it, which is good. And now we're just controlling this back, building 7. This is great for shotguns, right? Everyone that wants to push you is either going to be in shotgun range just dropping down on top of them, or they're going to push up into shotgun range trying to get to you. And we have great primary challenges here, right? That would have been an engagement where if he didn't have a fusion, you want to commit to it, but because he did have a fusion, you want to dip back behind cover, which he did. And here, when you're in this position, you want to kill players in the least amount of time possible. In any position, you want to kill players in the least amount of time possible. If you run a shotgun, that means you want them to push into you, and you just want to shotgun them when they get in range. If you can't see them. If you can see them, you should ideally be focusing on getting primary shots off. I've seen too many times where players will see someone, and they'll just push straight at them. They'll be well within primary range, but they're so focused on getting in shotgun range because they know how powerful shotguns are that they just die during a head-on push. Or they're so focused on letting them get into shotgun range that they end up trading instead of just primarying them down and backpedaling. Not every engagement needs to be a shotgun engagement like everyone, cries about. You can manipulate every single engagement. It just depends on how you want to approach it. So here, we know that player is going to push us because we're weak, and we could have just shotgunned the guy that was coming up. If you're going to primary him, you needed to. If your entire plan in that position was just to primary them, you shouldn't be at the edge of building 7. Or if you are at the edge of building 7, then what your focus should be on is killing them before they get into that shotgun range. And if they're already too close, right? If they're already one jump away, then you just have to have shotgun ready. So someone pops an arc blade behind us, and we're just trying to run away. Now, in this position, we're not really, doing anything. And now there are 2 Sunsingers behind us. There's no way you're going to kill either of those players. I'll tell you this right now. When you're hitting 23 to the head, there's no point. You shouldn't even be waiting here. You shouldn't be reloading your gun in the middle of a lane. You shouldn't be just trying to take pot shots at these players because they're already stronger than you are, right? They already have twice as much health as you do. So even on the off chance you get, 7 body shots on them, that's still not going to be enough to kill. You still need the 8th body shot. And then by that point, they've probably killed you with their own primary because they don't need that many shots. Now there, we're just completely unprepared for anyone to come. And that guy just slide bodies us. If you push into any lane where there are choke points, you need to, as a shotgunner, you need to push closer to one side. So if someone does end up pushing you, you can just kill them immediately with the shotgun. Here, again, we don't need to reload our gun in this position because we're flushing them out with that grenade. And by flushing them out with that grenade, we're going to cause them to move back into our line of sight. If we were prepared in that position and just had weapons ready, you probably would have killed that person instead of dying here. Like that person, you need to, when you use your grenade and you know they're going to run away from it, all you need to do is ready to fire on wherever they move away to. That's it. So unfortunately, we just, get shot off spawn, which is okay. This person is pushing us, but now we've basically painted ourselves into a corner, very weak. And again, we're in the center of the lane. So we're not challenging again, we're just running away. Even though you're weak as a shotgunner, you're most dangerous when you're right at a choke point, and they have to push the choke point in order to push you. Again, we're reloading in the middle of an engagement there. We know that someone was just near us, and we know that we're already in an engagement. Why are you reloading there? Really good pacing shots there. And the game just finishes. So there was way too many engagements where, half the time in this match we were spent running away because we were too afraid to challenge someone even though we were weak. If you always run away every single time you're weak, you're never going to win the game. We talked about this a little last time, but there's basically two mindsets that you can get into. There's playing to win, and there's playing to not lose. And playing to win means you put yourself in danger, you challenge when you have to, and you go down fighting. Playing to not lose means you run away and hide. You spend more time figuring out how to get to the best area over necessarily getting more repetitions in. Rumble is all about getting in 1v1 engagements, or the best you can get in a 1v1 engagement, quickly win it, and then hide. And then move on to your next target at full health. Get into another engagement, hide. Reload, get your health back, do it again. That's how you play Rumble. You don't play Rumble by setting up on a location and waiting for everyone to come to you, because you're not going to get as many kills as you need as someone that just warriors the entire map, goes 21 and 21, and outslays you, right? If they get 21 kills, normally that's enough to win a Rumble match. And you could have a fantastic KD. You could have went like 10 and 2 in that Rumble match. But because you were always waiting for someone to come along, you're not going to win. Ever. If you do win, it's because you stood in the very center of the map, and then that's how you waited for people to come, and you just had your head on a swivel the entire time. So I'm going to bring up Rusted Lands real quick. So we talked a little bit earlier about not wanting to be in the center of the map. And oftentimes this area was, we found ourselves getting crossfired here in low special. We found ourselves getting crossfired in field, in B. Now, what do all these spots have in common? Well, they all have in common the fact that people spawn across from you. Right? People spawn in these corners, and you just get shot from all these different places. This spot is especially bad. Top field, you can get pushed through A, it's pretty rare. But if instead of trying to challenge in these areas, right? Instead of trying to challenge here, we challenge from spawn, or we challenge from a location where it's very easy to back up and deal with the players that we need to worry about, right? Someone pushes up A stairs, someone pushes in this choke point. We have a shotgun ready for anyone that pushes through field. This is another choke point. These are easy zones to control where it's not very easy to crossfire you during an engagement. You saw him go to building 7, which is where B heavy spawns. This is a great spot, right? Every push is up into you. Every push is up into a choke point. You have a position of high ground that it becomes very easy to punish anyone that comes up at you, as long as you properly read radar. And if no one shows up, or someone shows up way off radar, close to the edge, then we have great angles on them, especially with a hand cannon. We have a decent angle here. We have a decent angle here. Decent angles here. Out here even. This is pretty rare. No one really goes back this far back into water, but off chance maybe there's a sniper out there. This is a fine engagement too. You can even drop down if you need to. You can engage to about here. right? If you have a pulse rifle, you can go pretty far down for an engagement. But by controlling these zones, building 7, B broken, A, you know, pick one of these 3 areas. You know, you can go all the way out here if you want on B. And just patrol this, right? Move back and forth between the edges. This is your map. This entire thing is not what you're playing off of, right? If you spawn out here, then you start playing A. If you spawn out on beach, you start playing, you know, B, or you start playing building 7. You don't need to play the entire map in order to win a Rumble match. You just need to play the high traffic areas. And these are all good high traffic areas because they're close to spawns, right? People spawn here, they spawn here, they spawn here. They'll spawn here, they'll spawn in B, they'll spawn out on beach, they'll spawn in C. And then they're going to move, right? They're going to move into these areas. They're going to move through tunnel. They're going to move up onto building 7. They're going to move into C yard. Move here. They're all going to move into this center map area, right? This is a traffic lane. 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 So if we post up on B, we have a good sight line from B into one of the traffic lanes here in field. If we're in back B, then we have a good sight line into top field. If we're on A, then we have a sight line into the mid lane. We have a sight line over into alcove, into bottom field. We have a sight line on a water tower. All areas in traffic lanes. So as people start moving off spawn, we punish them because we have a good location. Your main focus for movement should be into getting to these power positions and then holding them from all comers. A is a perfect example of constantly getting pushed. Because the spawns are all around you, but you're relatively safe in here. If you use this pillar and just play Ring Around the Rosie, you can create a lot of cover doing that. And there's a lot of opportunities to use that cover to push over or around to get into shotgun range. Or even this push here, right? You have high ground. If they push the corner, you can back up, maybe throw a sticky. You can back up, bait them using your primary. You just have tons of options. Oh boy. Everything isn't working today. All right. Well, since I seem to be having technical difficulties, I'm just going to call this one early. I apologize. It's kind of a long day for me. But I gave you guys some good map knowledge. If you want to check out those spots, definitely go into the match. Or look at some of the other Rusted Lands matches that I've talked about before. And there's plenty of, like, one of the Rusted Lands matches, I go over all the angles you can look at. One of them, if you look at a Rusted Lands on Rumble, I actually go over those PowerPoints. So you can check out what those actually look like and kind of what to expect out of them. Yeah. If you want to send me gameplay to critique, please send it to keen@cruciblebootcamp.com, Keen @cruciblebootcamp.com. You can send me skirmish, salvage, rumble, elimination, trials, any of those, and I will happily critique it for you. If you want to back the stream and support me, you can always become a Patreon backer. I always appreciate that. I get some tutoring out of it if you want. But as usual, I've been your host, King Koala. This is Crucible Bootcamp, and class is dismissed. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.